Webinar. So my name is Trisha Utterback. I am the Trade and Invest representative for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and India at the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, or GO-Biz. I am joined today by representatives from AHP International, the consultancy group that's helping us organize our trade mission to rebuild Ukraine in Warsaw in November. So today, to get started, I'd like to pass it over to Linda, Managing Partner of AHP, to give brief introductory.
Yeah, thanks, Trisha. Good morning to California from early evening in Germany. My name is Linda. I'm Managing Director of AHP International. And in my background, you see the castle of pretty Heidelberg city. We are really happy to be here and also for your interest. We have a very interesting offer and project for you. It's not the first time we have been in Rebuild Ukraine. We have been there last year already to really, get all the opportunities of the market and of Poland and Ukraine at the same time to really, get to know firsthand information and also opportunities, and there are plenty of them. And we had a delegation of 14 companies already from the US last year. And this is why we decided to do it again. And thanks, Trisha, for choosing us, of course, to help you. Why we can be the ideal fit? Because we have a company in Warsaw. Warsaw is the place where the conference takes place. And we have also a person in Kiev in Ukraine. So very competent people are really market experts to help you in understanding the opportunities and catching the opportunities. So thank you for your interest again. I hand over to my two colleagues, Karolina from Warsaw and Dymtro from Kiev.
Thank you very much, Linda, and good morning to California also from my side. My name is Karolina Kaptur. I'm the Senior Manager at AHP International, based in Warsaw, Poland. So today, together with my colleague Dymtro Pankratov, we are going to tell you a little bit about the Ukrainian market with the focus on the construction and energy sector. And we are also going to tell you a little bit about the trade mission, Rebuild Ukraine trade mission planned for November this year as an opportunity for your company to tap into reconstruction projects in Ukraine, but also to connect with different players in Poland and in Europe. So with that, let me share my screen to have some slides supporting the presentation. Okay, can you see my screen well? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Trisha, for that. So maybe before we jump into the Rebuild Ukraine topic, a brief introduction of our company, AHP International. So we are a consulting company which is focused specifically on international business development, which means we delivered projects mainly for public sector clients, so organizations like GO-Biz California and similar ones in export promotion projects and in investment attraction projects. We are a well-established player. The company has been in the market for about 30 years. And as Linda mentioned, we have offices in Germany, in Warsaw, Poland, in Kiev, Ukraine, and also in the United States. Our company is a team of about 20 experts, but today your speakers are my colleague, Dymtro Pankratov, Senior Manager and Territory Lead for Ukraine, and myself, Karolina Kaptur, Senior Manager, Territory Lead for Poland. Few words about our experience in working with the US clients and also our experience on Ukraine. I mentioned before that majority of our clients are public sector organizations. So in the United States, we have had the pleasure of collaborating with California, but also North Carolina, Washington, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Montana, Colorado, and Wisconsin. We've had the pleasure of collaborating with California on also on different shows in Europe, including Hanover Messe this year. Our presence and activities in Ukraine. So as mentioned before, our company has the representation in Kiev with Dymtro as our lead expert. And we have also been involved in a number of projects related to the Ukrainian market. Some of them actually are very similar to the trade mission we are going to deliver this year for California. So as Linda mentioned, we've had the pleasure of bringing the US delegation to this event also last year in November. And few months earlier, we also worked with the German delegation. So what I want to stress is that we are well familiar with the event, so we would be happy to answer any questions you have on the profile of the show, on your suitability, and so on. So rebuilding of Ukraine. Why is this a relevant topic now? First of all, rebuilding of Ukraine is expected to be the largest reconstruction and modernization project since the World War II. This means that there is going to be a huge demand for construction materials, products, solutions, services in the coming years. And you might have also heard that in terms of Ukraine's infrastructure, a lot of energy infrastructure has been targeted and destroyed by the Russian attacks, which means that energy is another field with absolutely huge needs. We often get the question, but has this process of reconstruction of the country already started, or are these opportunities going to occur only after the war comes to an end? And the answer is yes, Ukraine's reconstruction is going to be a long-term process. So it is going to take at least decade to rebuild the country, but at the same time some critical projects are happening already now, because as you can imagine, if some critical infrastructure has been destroyed, it is absolutely urgent to restore it immediately. So some projects are already happening this year in the field of Ukraine's reconstruction. And what is the scale of this reconstruction? So there are different estimations, but according to the representatives of the Ukrainian government, the Prime Minister Shmyhal, the President Zelensky, so they estimate that the scale of the project will reach about 600 to 750 billion US dollars. In parallel, we have official reports prepared by international organizations such as the World Bank, United Nations, European Commission, who assess the scale of the project until a certain moment of time, right? So, for example, based on 2 years destruction of the country since the full-scale invasion. However, this is of course a moving number, right? Because as the months pass by, the actual number reflecting the losses and the reconstruction needs increases as well. So these organizations, their last report estimates the needs of Ukraine's reconstruction to reach nearly 500 billion US dollars. And with that, I will pass to my colleague Dymtro Pankratov for presentation of the Ukrainian market, the overview with a focus on construction and energy sector. Dima, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Karolina. Now I will share my screen. Hello, everyone. My name is Dymtro Pankratov, and I am a territory lead at AHP International in Ukraine. And in my presentation, I will provide overview of the current situation in Ukraine and explain the existing business opportunities. So, Ukraine is a country in Eastern Europe, north of the Black Sea and Sea of Azov, and Ukraine is known as a breadbasket of Europe. The area of Ukraine is 600,000 square meters. It is the second largest country in Europe after Russia, slightly smaller than US state of Texas. Pre-war GDP is compared with US state Nebraska, and current population is slightly lower than in California. The neighboring countries are Belarus, Hungary, Moldova, Poland, Romania, Russia, and Slovakia. The capital of Ukraine is Kyiv. There are 27 administrative divisions, 24 regions, Crimea, Kyiv, and Sevastopol. The GDP of Ukraine before the war was 181 billion US dollars, and it was dropped down by 30% after the war started. The Ukrainian economy depends heavily on financial aid from international donors. Ukraine is considering increasing the taxes, VAT, and the military tax in 2024 to further finance military expenditures. The Ukrainian budget is still a budget of war. About half of the state budget is spent on defense. According to the estimation, defense spending will exceed 30% of GDP in 2023. In this slide, you can see the share of sectors of Ukrainian economy. The largest sectors are trade, agriculture, and transportation. Here you can see the share of sectors in Ukrainian economy. The current situation in Ukraine. 18% of Ukraine's territory is occupied. You can see the map of Ukraine with orange marked territories which are occupied. This is 18% of the total territory. Although the whole country is under ongoing rocket attacks, especially targeting the energy infrastructure, the eastern and southern regions are suffering the most destruction due to their proximity to the front line. Russian troops remain focused on full occupation of two regions, Donetsk and Lugansk, as a priority task. Workforce problems. Due to mobilization and the fact that many people have left the country, companies have lost a significant percentage of their workforce, and they are operating at a lower capacity than before the war. Some companies are reporting the loss of up to 50% of their workforce. It became nearly impossible for men aged 18 to 60 years old to cross the border and leave the country for private or business purposes. Laws are becoming more stricter for the civilians. However, such regulations would have to replenish army and create needed human reserve. Government, however, is testing economic booking so that business would have an option to work properly. According to official information, 4.6 million people have moved within Ukraine, mainly from the eastern and southern parts of the central and western regions. The migration creates higher demand for housing and communal facilities. Since Russia began heavily striking power generation infrastructure, the whole Ukraine have been facing regular blackouts. Russian attacks have caused severe damage to both coal and hydropower plants. Despite all the destruction, Ukrainians have become extremely flexible. Counter-actions include decentralizing power generating capacity across regions, receiving spare parts and smaller mobile power generators from partner countries, and intensifying military aid in air defense. Ukraine is preparing for autumn and the heating season, as it is going to be a very challenging time. This slide is about the construction sector of Ukraine. The construction volume in Ukraine in 2023 was $4.45 billion, which is half of the pre-war level. The number of employees in the construction sector is approximately 300,000 people. There are three main segments in the construction productions, which are residential construction, non-residential construction, and civil construction. The largest share in civil construction is occupied by highways, streets and roads, construction of mining or extraction, long-distance pipelines, communication and electricity lines. The construction industry is currently supported by orders for restoration of various infrastructure facilities. What are the recovery prospects for construction sector? The commercial real estate sector is gradually recovering in 2023. Requests for retail space increased, particularly in the West, Kyiv, and nearby regions. The Western and Central regions benefit from business relocations. On this slide, you can see major players in residential, commercial, real estate, and road construction market. It is worth noting that all largest players are Ukrainian national company, except for Turkish firm Onur, which operates in the road construction projects. On this slide, you can see the relevant largest associations. Energy sector of Ukraine. Before the war, the Ukraine's power system was among the largest in Europe, with 56 gigawatt of installed generation capacity, equivalent to $50 billion. As of now, around 60% of the energy generation capacity has been destroyed, leaving 20 gigawatt of remaining capacity, equivalent to $20 billion. The energy mix relied heavily on nuclear power, which provided 55% of the total generation, and the thermal generation using coal and natural gas. On this slide, you can see the top stakeholders, including association, national electricity generation companies, and the largest private player company, DTEC. So what are the needs and trends? As mentioned, 60% of generation capacity is damaged, leading to recovery needs of nearly $50 billion. In recent years, there has been a rapid increase in the share of generation from renewables, including water, solar, wind, biomass, and biogas. Ukraine aims for a significant shift in its energy mix by 2050, with an emphasis on renewable energy. Among trends, I would like to highlight the following. Development of advanced power generation technology. By 2050, Ukraine aims to adopt modern energy solutions from small modular reactors to biofuel thermal power plants. The initial small modular reactors projects are anticipated by 2029, with plans for significant investment in battery capacities, smart grids, and biofuel production. The potential of bioenergy, hydro, solar, wind generation is significant, and these resources could contribute to nearly 80% of Ukraine's total energy generation by 2050. The second trend is the expansion of renewable energy. Before the war, Ukraine's renewable connected capacity reached 9.5 gigawatts. The pre-war strategy of Ukraine set a goal of sourcing up to 25% of its total energy mix from renewables by 2030 and 45% by 2035. Ukraine has a technical potential of 874 gigawatts in renewable energy. The last but not least is the emphasis on biomethane production. The new law enables biomethane producers to access the gas infrastructure. The government expects that 5 new methane plants with a potential capacity of 70 million cubic meters will be launched soon, and the country could potentially supply 30% of Europe's biomethane. Needs of Ukraine's energy and construction sectors. Karolina already told you about the figures and the needs. And in the table to the right, you can see the breakdown by sectors, where housing, transport infrastructure, and energy extractives are among the sectors with the highest demand for recovery. 6 frontline regions that suffered the most top the list of regions with the highest demand for recovery. So what are the opportunities? Ukraine presents significant opportunities across most sectors of its economy. The existing infrastructure is either very old or has been destroyed during the war. In the energy sector, there are opportunities in projects focusing on rapid renovations following Russian attacks and the development of a new decentralized infrastructure. Additionally, there are many attractive opportunities in the development of renewable energy sources, projects related to the production of biomethane, which has recently entered the market. Municipal projects present another interesting area to explore. Due to internal relocation, there is a high demand for the rapid construction of affordable housing, hospitals, schools, and other public facilities. Municipalities actively cooperate with financial institutions such as World Bank and the EBRD, giving them access to necessary funds. As an agricultural country, Ukraine has significant potential in construction-relevant facilities, such as grain elevators, warehouses for storing agriculture products, and logistics centers. To keep the added value within the country, investment and construction in processing facilities is another attractive direction. Considering the ongoing war and proximity to Russia, a few more specific areas are worth mentioning, and they are demining operations and the development of military facilities in the western Ukraine. So how to start in Ukraine? If you are new in the country, start by developing your local network, building relationships, and trying something small like a pilot project to test the market. For the next step, you might consider either establishing a local presence yourself or delegating this task at the first stage. Find a local partner. A good local partner will have a deep understanding of the market, local mentality, and business practices, and will have long-term established relationships with the customer. This can save you time and budget and help you avoid mistakes. Your partner can introduce you to existing projects and inform you about new opportunities before they become public. There are many local developers, especially in renewable sectors, who are looking for partners to contribute financing and technology. This could involve new projects or the extension of the existing ones. As mentioned earlier, engage directly with municipalities to identify potential opportunities for your products and solutions within municipal projects. Even though local partners can provide valuable information about opportunities, you can also look for public tenders or on tendering platforms and follow the activities of international financial institutions active in Ukraine to see where they are directing their resources. In this slide, we have listed the sources of information where you can find information about current tenders and ongoing projects. We will briefly go through each one of them. The first one, Prodoro, is a national electronic tender platform that brings together over 35,000 government and municipal authorities, buyers, and commercial companies in Ukraine. This platform is used for publishing national and international tenders. To participate in a national tender, you need to find a partner in Ukraine or open your own representative office. USAID ESP is an independent procurement agent for Ukraine Energy Support Fund. Here you can find rolling tenders, including full specifications from the government of Ukraine. The examples of equipment include items like circuit breakers, transformers, surge arresters, power control systems, and so on. European Investment Bank. Tenders focus on projects in housing and utilities, transport and logistics, energy, social infrastructure, and industry. The next institution is NEFCO, Nordic Environment Finance Corporation. The NEFCO Green Recovery Program for Ukraine is providing financial support and technical assistance to municipalities in Ukraine to address both direct and indirect consequences of the war. These investments aim to provide Ukraine with an EU-aligned pathway to help the country build back greener and better. The next source is Investment Map of Ukraine. It is a product of European Business Association, Global Business for Ukraine, and Ukraine Invest, who have launched an innovative interactive tool called the Map of Investment and Business Opportunities. This comprehensive platform assists potential investors in exploring a wide array of investment opportunities across different regions and industries in Ukraine, providing detailed information on each project, including the initiator, status, location, investment requirements, goals, and deadlines. The map serves as a user-friendly starting point for investors to explore Ukraine's vast investment potential and make informed decisions based on interest and preferences. The last but not least, the DREAM platform is a digital ecosystem designed to manage reconstruction projects through a unified platform. It integrates data from government sources, local communities, and key data sets, enabling effective collaboration and prioritization based on socio-economic impact. The platform DREAM is coordinated by the Ministry for Restoration and Agency for Restoration. This slide, you see various financial instruments available for financing of the recovery projects. So the following sources can be named. Well, first, one of them is, of course, Ukrainian government, then international donors and international financial institutions and municipal development banks, as well as export credit agencies, investments, and private funds and private capital. This slide is about political and war risk insurance. The political and war risk insurance instruments are already available in Ukraine. The minimum insurance amount of US International Finance Corporation DFC starts from $10 million covering from 50 to 80% of the credit, and the premium is 2% of the contract volume. Conditions may vary depending on the projects, and the insurance term can be up to 20 years. DFC has already approved political risk insurance transactions worth over $800 million in the priority sectors for Ukraine's recovery and signed a declaration of intent with EBRD. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dima. So this has been Ukraine in a nutshell. Let me share my screen as well to tell you a little bit more about the Rebuild Ukraine trade fair and conference, and also about the trade mission. So one thing I wanted to start with is the importance of international collaboration in the context of rebuilding of Ukraine. So as mentioned before, the scale of the reconstruction is so big that Ukraine's domestic market won't be able to cover the demand for products and services related to rebuilding of the country. And it is definitely going to be a global effort. And to access this complex market, US businesses will need to rely on one hand on the strong American presence in the region. So both in Ukraine and actually in Poland as the largest neighboring country, we have very strong American Chamber of Commerce with both key international American corporations as well as mid-size and smaller businesses from the United States. And the second channel American businesses can rely on to access Ukraine is strong partnerships with Ukrainian players who are also interested in rebuilding Ukraine. Dmytro mentioned in his presentation different tender platforms in Ukraine, and one of them, the biggest one, is Prozoro, the first platform that was mentioned. So if you look into this platform, you will see how many companies are registered from which countries, and also how many companies actually or from which countries the companies are actually selected. And this shows actually a clear picture that these are European companies who are especially active in Ukraine, and Poland is naturally one of them as the largest economy in the Central and Eastern Europe, neighboring directly with Ukraine. Poland is also a natural hub for forging partnerships with Ukrainian and European partners who want to get involved in rebuilding Ukraine. It's not only the venue of the Rebuild Ukraine trade show and conference. Poland is also Ukraine's second largest import market after China, and its first largest export market. So attending the Rebuild Ukraine trade mission allows you to tap into this ecosystem and into these international partnerships. So let me tell you a few words about Rebuild Ukraine Trade Fair and Conference. So this is an event which includes over 500 exhibitors from nearly 30 countries. The exhibition takes place in 3 exhibition halls, so it's not a huge event like the largest international trade shows in Europe, but at the same time, this is a very dedicated event. The event really focused on reconstruction of Ukraine. The event attracts over 5,000 participants from 50 countries. In the main exhibition hall, you would find more than 20 national pavilions, mainly from Europe, but also from the United States and Canada. So under each national pavilion, let's say France or Germany, you will also find a lot of individual companies from that country active in the construction or energy sector and interested in being a part of rebuilding Ukraine. So this is not, the national pavilions are not institutional only. These are actually like umbrella pavilions for companies from these countries. There is also a section where Ukrainian communities, cities, municipalities, regions exhibit. So there you will find people at the level of mayors, city council representatives, and other officials to connect to and discuss the projects planned in different regions of Ukraine. Alongside this exhibition, there are forums, discussions, and events happening in parallel. So, for example, the Ukrainian municipalities present the projects they are planning and the reconstruction needs in their region or in their city. There is also a conference which is dedicated to energy, and there is also a forum which is dedicated to the construction sector, and some discussions also on investments to Ukraine and development aid to Ukraine. This year's edition is taking place on November 13th and 14th. And Rebuild Ukraine Trade Fair and Conference is going to be incorporated into the one-week trade mission program for companies from California. California is going to have a booth. Companies that decide to join the trade mission will also have an opportunity to exhibit under the California booth and have some more visibility at the trade show. What types of exhibitors to expect at Rebuild Ukraine? Basically, there are 3 main categories of exhibitors. Majority, over 50% of exhibitors, these are construction sector companies. Construction sector is, in this case, broadly understood. So these could be construction machinery and road building equipment manufacturers, but also engineering companies, producers of building or finishing materials, security system, but also companies, for example, specializing in demining to prepare the ground for the construction. Then the second group of exhibitors is energy sector companies. And here we would find companies active in the areas of power generation and transmission, equipment, oil and gas exploration, refining pipelines, but also energy efficiency and environment protection technologies. The third group is municipalities, but also ministries, different agencies, and associations relevant for reconstruction of Ukraine. So a few words about the trade mission. And the trade mission to Warsaw, to Poland, is planned for the week of November 11th to November 15th. 2 days of the program are focusing on the Rebuild Ukraine trade show. In this case, California joined forces with 2 other states, with Washington and North Carolina. So this is going to be a joint delegation from 3 different states. In total, about 20 American companies. And actually, this strategic decision helped us a lot in gaining much higher visibility as the American delegation and much higher attention from the side of different partners. So what is foreseen in the program, apart from 2 days at Rebuild Ukraine as the exhibitor? At the Rebuild Ukraine, you will actually have a chance to have individual B2B meetings with potential business partners. These will be pre-arranged meetings for every company attending the trade show. We will also have a chance to have joint meetings with Ukrainian communities to discuss their needs and what the American companies could offer them. And of course, you would also have an opportunity to follow some interesting events and find out more about demand in Ukraine and different programs and tools that can support that. Apart from that, we will have a program comprising briefing sessions. These briefing sessions by U.S. Commercial Service based here in Warsaw, but also by the 2 American Chambers of Commerce, the American Chamber of Commerce in Poland and the American Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine. We are also planning matchmaking and networking events where you will have an opportunity to network with different companies, public sector representatives, and international organizations. We also plan company visits and, of course, more and more individual B2B meetings also beyond the trade fair. This is actually a very unique opportunity to establish key relations with all stakeholders which are relevant for the Ukrainian topic, from Ukrainian authorities through companies from all over Europe interested in collaboration in rebuilding of Ukraine, and also with North American companies who are already active in Poland and in Ukraine, who already can share experience of doing business in these markets. You will also gain very valuable institutional contacts to the players I have mentioned, U.S. Commercial Service, AmCham Poland, AmCham Ukraine, but also other organizations such as the Polish Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, very active in collaboration between, in fostering collaboration between the 2 markets, Polish Investment and Trade Agency, as well as relevant construction and energy sector organizations. So what are you going to gain if you decide to sign up for the mission? definitely you're going to get a deeper insight and a better understanding of specific opportunities for American companies, both in Ukraine and in Poland. This is also a unique opportunity to establish in-person relations with decision makers in Ukraine without actually the need to travel to Ukraine. So doing this in a safe environment. I would also say that the event is pretty high level, so you have a pretty good chance to establish C-level relationships during your individual B2B meetings or networking opportunities. Then, of course, building direct connections with institutional players, Polish and Ukrainian chambers, associations, and clusters, connecting with advocates of American businesses in Poland and Ukraine, and also American companies active here, and meeting European companies and organizations involved in the Rebuild Ukraine project. And that's it from our side. Thank you very much for your attention. I will now give the floor back to Tricia for some organizational information, what you should do if you are interested in joining the mission. And after that, we are also happy to answer questions if you have any. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Karolina and Dymtro. Appreciate those presentations. Just a quick housekeeping. If you have any questions, please raise your hand or put your question in the chat and we will answer those as we receive them. So if you are interested in joining us to rebuild the Ukraine trade mission, which again is a mission centered around the trade show and rebuilding Ukraine, but also taking a more regional approach. In the before and after of the trade show with Poland and other opportunities with European businesses that will be attending in concert with the show. We do have this is a program that is subsidized for California small businesses through the state trade expansion program. So I'm happy to follow up with you with a little bit more information about the program itself and other opportunities that might be relevant under that umbrella. But we have our STEP portal where you will apply for the mission on our website, and I'll put that link in the chat here shortly. This is also open to medium to large size businesses, but that will not be subsidized for you specifically. The program for California small businesses is $3,500 and does not include travel, lodging, meals, although there will be some select opportunities for meals within the program. Majority of those will be on your own. In that regard, I'd like to open it up for questions that anyone may have. I do have some questions myself if no one is brave enough to ask. So we'll start. I see Mark has asked a question. How can you help companies work through federal level export regulations in order to provide goods and services to Poland and Karolina, do you have any insights on that, or I can also jump in?
I think you can jump in. I have an idea, but we are probably aligning. So go ahead.
So we work very closely with our federal partners, the U.S. Commercial Service, and that will be part of the program on the briefing day, working with briefings with the U.S. Commercial Service based in Poland and Warsaw, but also they'll be bringing in some folks that have previous experience working in Ukraine. Our federal partners there can really work with you, work through questions that you may have about regulations, and make even connections with other federal agencies such as USAID, who will have a presence at the show itself. So we can connect you with commercial service folks in California as well before and after the show. So there are critical partners and have a lot of in-depth knowledge.
Yeah, well, my thought was also to focus, of course, on U.S. commercial service. The only thing I wanted to add from my side is that the since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the U.S. commercial service in Warsaw and in Kiev is pretty much integrated, and they work really closely together. So in case of questions of a more local character, I can just say that both teams are very knowledgeable in that topic as well.
Then just to also provide a little insight on that, Ukraine is very invested in joining the European Union now, especially after these invasions. And so a lot of regulations and standards are actually to EU standards, and they're working hard to upgrade their infrastructure. So if you already have some understanding and business in Europe, in the EU, you should see a lot of alignment in that. And correct me if I'm wrong. Dymtro, Okay. Next question. I see, John, this is the second year. Do we know the percentage of attendees that are actually Ukrainian officials?
I think I can answer this question. So, you know, it's you do not have the official statistics from the trade show, because actually the trade show focuses on the exhibitors, on the statistics of exhibitors. And in case of Rebuild Ukraine, the exhibitors are the Ukrainian communities and municipalities. So in the previous edition, we've had, if I'm correct, 26 different municipalities from Ukraine. Let me just quickly double check. Yes, it was 26. But at the same time, these regional pavilions, they are under the umbrella of the Ukrainian Ministry of Communities and Territorial Restoration. And the second exhibition hall, Energy, it is also under the patronage of the Ukrainian Ministry of Energy. So a part of this, let's say, municipal level, you have the two ministries which are present and which are, which have an active role. Plus, in the accompanying events, so the forums, the discussion panels, you also have a lot of national level government representatives from different ministries, but also from different organizations, including the key organization, the state organization for the state agency for Ukraine's restoration. So we do not have, percentage-wise the exact details, but I can just tell you that it's a mixture of municipalities, but then also high-level speakers from the Ukrainian government and key agencies.
I've also put in the chat the post-show report from last year. Sorry for that typo. I think there's a lot of good insights in there as well.
Right.
I've also posted the STEP portal for questions. One question that I had, just given the decrease in the workforce in Ukraine, is Ukraine looking at autonomous solutions to compensate for the decreased workforce? Are they open to that kind of technology like robotics or automation to compensate?
Maybe I will give the floor to Dima to answer this one.
Thank you, Karolina. Thank you, Trisha. Yeah, the workforce problem is really one of the biggest problems for the companies operating in Ukraine. I haven't heard yet the request for technologies like this, but I'm sure it will be coming. The trend now is that many women, they just take over the men's role now, and they are just mastering new professions and so on. So now you can see women like drivers of buses and trucks and so on. Yeah, that is what is happening right now. But I think as a next step, the technology will also take over.
I would also add from my side, from my discussions with some production companies based in Ukraine, who indeed lost a lot of employees, in a sense that their employees were sent to the front, and they have to deal with a smaller employees available. They have rearranged their production processes. So, for example, now they are working on 3 different shifts and kind of rotate the employees that they have available. So, like, my impression is that Ukrainians are very resourceful in finding, quick solutions to this problem. But definitely the future, and this is what we see not only in Ukraine, but definitely in the whole region, is automation, robotization of the processes.
John had a question about security at the event and potential for visibility on a more global scale. Do you have any insights in what the security will be?
Yes, I can tell you from my experience. So first thing to keep in mind is that this is an event which, of course, has a lot of political aspects to it, right? Because the process of reconstructing the country has both economic and political aspects. And yes, there is, the presence of representatives from different ministries. However, you cannot think of it as an event which is similar to, for example, the past conferences in Lugano or in London. It is a trade fair and an accompanying conference. So I would say that the security is quite similar to other trade fairs in Europe, meaning, of course, you do have security staff on the ground, but you should not expect anything extra, such as very limited access or any other extra measures, I would say.
So, like exhibitor passes, like checks.
Exhibitor passes, but yes, exhibitor passes allow you to enter more areas of the trade show. To some events at the trade show, you do need to buy an additional ticket, but generally the exhibition halls are available also to visitors who can enter the event, and there is no extra security that would be different than at other trade shows in Europe.
Okay. Another question that I had, because you supported North Carolina and the Great Lakes last year, what were some takeaways that surprised you about last year's show?
I would say that, we've been fortunate because we have participated in this trade show from the very first edition in February last year. And definitely from February till November, the show really grew and attracted more attention. In November, it was really how to describe it in the best manner. It was very interactive. I think that's the best word, So all the companies from the United States that traveled were really happy with the meetings and interactions they had. They have had a lot of discussions. They have had good meetings. So this is one thing I can share with you. And, we've got a broad range of companies, some of them actually very well familiar with Ukraine, joining the mission, and others just making the first steps in the region. And all of them actually, came back with a lot of lessons learned, be it either in terms of finally understanding how this works, and having ideas for the strategy, how their company should approach this market, midterm also, and long term. A lot of companies having a lot of fruitful discussions and then partners to follow up with. Yeah, a lot of them were actually also quite surprised about Poland, because they have had some memories like from 30 years back, for example, and Poland has really changed tremendously in the three decades. Some lessons learned. Yeah, one thing is something I have mentioned myself before. So it is not right to assume that reconstruction process is something that is going to start after the war is over. It is something that is happening already now. And second takeaway, value of partnerships. So just an example, Poland, as a direct neighbor of Ukraine, has been doing business with Ukrainian companies long before the war started. So Polish companies actually do have the local know-how and experience, and are also aware of the pitfalls to avoid, right? So yeah, I would say that this is the second big takeaway: the value of partnerships, and of course learning from people who have experience. And I mean here, American companies already active in the region and American organizations active in Ukraine and in Poland was also very helpful.
You touched on something that I was also going to ask, just from conversations I've had, a difference between American business culture and Polish and Ukrainian it's very relationship based. Is that correct?
Yes, it is definitely correct. Still, there are some differences how these relations are forged, and also what are the the ways to run a conversation, a small talk, even dress code, small things like these. I will mention.
We'll talk about in like preparation, know before you go. These are the tips.
Yes, exactly. I wanted to say that we will have a dedicated webinar shortly before the mission, like 2 or 3 weeks before the mission, and we will dig into these details, what to expect on not only on business culture level, but also on very practical levels, like is it safe to walk on the streets in Warsaw? Do you have Uber or not? Do I need to have cash? And very practical aspects like this.
Well, conscious of times, I think we have less than a minute. What is the weather like? We're Californians, we are not used to snow. What is Warsaw in November, before we get to John's question?
Unfortunately, I have to tell you that November is not the warmest month of the year in Poland. If I were to pick, I would invite the Californian companies to come to Poland actually in August right now. Unfortunately, the trade show organizers did it in November. It is going to be pretty cold. I wouldn't expect snow, but rather some cooler weather and maybe also some rain. So bring your autumn coat.
Bring the biggest winter coat that a Californian has. Okay.
Not the biggest, not like northern pole, but autumn coat would be good.
Great. And John, to visit Ukraine, we can talk about that offline, an opportunity that there might be around that. All right. Well, with that, I think we're just a little bit over time, but thank you all for your participation and attending this webinar. It will be recorded and we will distribute that so you can review at your leisure. Everybody have a great rest of your Thursday and hopefully a great weekend here coming up. Thank you all.
Thank you everyone for the attention. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.